Welcome to the Cabral Concept, where board-certified naturopath and integrative health practitioner Dr. Stephen Cabral shares how he was diagnosed at the age of 17 with a life-altering illness and given no hope for recovery. It was only after studying and traveling all over the world did he discover how to combine ancient Ayurvedic healing practices with state-of-the-art naturopathic and functional medicine to fully rebalance the body and re-energize it with life. It's time to discover how to get well, lose weight, and finally feel alive again. And now, here's your host, Dr. Stephen Cabral.
Welcome back, everyone. Great to have you here. Excited to get into a bonus edition of the Cabral Concept. Typically, I'm bringing you a Conversations with Cabral, whether it's one of our guest experts I'd love to invite on and talk about a topic that particular week where they are the expert in, or it's oftentimes a Training Thursday where I'm talking about exercise, fitness, workout programs, and how to customize it for you. But today is about a topic that I actually haven't spoken about in, I would say, at least a year, maybe 2 years time. And that is on cannabinoids and cannabidiol and all of the different benefits that are contained within that particular plant that, to be honest, is looking like a panacea, but we know there's no such thing as a panacea for overall health. But it's one of the main reasons why pharmaceutical companies are lobbying in government right now to block your use of cannabinoids in your own health. And there's really good reason why they're doing that. It is a plant-based compound, and honestly, this plant grows almost anywhere. You can grow it inside your house, you could grow it in your backyard. I mean, it's a very hearty plant that is quite literally a weed. And inside of this are over 400 different plant compounds that are still being studied to this day. It's been used now for, since I guess the dawn of time, for at least 6,000 plus years. People have been talking about and writing about the different benefits that cannabinoids have on the human body. And what I want to do is go through some of those today, but also break down, because there's a lot of confusion in the CBD industry. What is an isolate? What is a full spectrum and what is a broad spectrum, and when you want to use those, because they all actually have really good uses. And I also want to get away from the myth that there's only CBD, like there's no other cannabinoids that actually have a lot of benefit for the human body. So this is kind of the breakout show. I don't know if this will be able to be kept up on iTunes and other media players. Hopefully it will. I also hope that it's able to be kept up on YouTube if you're watching the videos over there on YouTube. But for those of you who don't know about my past with recommending cannabinoids and CBD oil or CBD-based products, is that about 2 years ago, I was actually, for whatever reason, I wasn't singled out, myself and maybe a dozen other people that were teaching on the topic were essentially banned from actually offering CBD-based products to people, which is really interesting because it's definitely not why I got into the health industry. And I was studying it back in 2015, 2016, and still didn't even talk about it because I did not want to become known at all as a natural health doctor that was using a lot of CBD in my practice. It just wasn't what I was looking to put out there. I'm about bioindividuality, bioregulatory medicine, integrative health, and it's just a part of it. But it caught traction, and there were some very popular shows, and it was a very popular product. And the reason is it worked. So people would come back month after month and get a good quality product. And I'm going to teach you how to get it anywhere, what to look for in the show. And again, we were singled out. I'm not going to go into it today, but for 2 years, while other people were offering it and it was being, brought into like Whole Foods as a topical or Bed Bath and Beyond, we still weren't able to. But, again, like that's part of this industry, right? It's like you're sometimes quietly banned from being able to do good work if it goes against the popular media of the day. And if the powers that be don't allow you and want you to speak on a topic, you're just going to be censored in that way. And I've seen it happen to myself and many of my colleagues. And again, I understand it because it threatens big pharma. Like, that's the truth. And that's because the power in cannabinoids really can change lives and people's health. I don't want you to look at it as an end-all be-all. I don't want you to look at it as a panacea, but honestly, it's being shown in almost all functions to be helpful for the human body. That doesn't mean you need to go overboard. It doesn't mean that you just need to use it all the time, but it could be something that brings you great benefit. And that's simply what I want to share with you here today. So what is CBD oil? If you've never heard about it before, well, it really is from the term cannabinoids, okay? And cannabinoids are essentially plant extract or a plant compound that's found in the cannabis plant. So cannabis plant is most typically thought of in terms of marijuana, and that's of course why it gets a bad name. Now again, you can have positive feelings towards marijuana, you can have negative feelings towards marijuana. I try to stay completely unbiased and simply look at things from a health-based perspective on this particular podcast. I pass no judgment whether you like to smoke marijuana or don't like to smoke marijuana. That's okay. That's neither here nor there. I'm talking about CBD, which is different than THC. Now, THC, which is the compound that has the psychoactive effects from marijuana, is called tetrahydrocannabinoids. So that's THC, and CBD is cannabinoids, also sometimes said as cannabidiol. So different pronunciations, we're really talking about the same thing. However, it really is a catch-all term that actually isn't exactly correct because there's about 100 different types of cannabinoids. And if we term all cannabinoids as CBD, we're actually missing out on a lot of the science that's showing us benefits from CBG and other plant compounds that I'm going to tell you about on today's show. But in general, in the cannabis-based plant, and this is really important when I start to get to full spectrum, in the cannabis-based plant, there are over 400 different plant compounds. Okay, they contain things like terpenes, you might have heard that before, a lot of the oils, the essence of the plant itself, the flavonoids, which if you know about flavonoids and the flavonols that we've spoken about in the past, really powerful antioxidants. Well, what do antioxidants do in general from fruits and vegetables? Well, what they do is they help to fight free radical damage. They help to balance healthy levels of inflammation and aging in the body. Inflammation is synonymous as we get older. Inflammation is synonymous with all dis-ease in the body. So if there are plant compounds in this cannabidiol, in these CBDs, could that help with inflammation? Again, I can't provide medical advice today. I'm not here to provide any diagnosis or cures, as they say, but I'll let you make the decisions on your own. But that's also one of the reasons why it helps with almost every type of condition you could imagine, is because it works on the healthy inflammatory-based pathways. That's a huge reason why. Okay, and then there's chlorophyll inside of the cannabis plant itself, and then there's also THC. THC is what I spoke about before, the tetrahydrocannabidiol or cannabinoids. That's more of the psychoactive effect that some people get, or some people want to get also from using marijuana, whether it be smoking it, vaping it, which, you know, I've told you and shared my scientific views in the past on that, which is very, very dangerous to vape anything, and also through edibles. So however you want to get it, you can get it through soft gels, edibles, etc. Okay, so CBD is, again, it's being used for almost anything you can think of, and actually, it's not just being used, it's being studied. So there are over 1,000. So back when I was studying in 2016 and really then began to promote it in 2017, again, not as a for everyone, but simply that there's a lot of benefits here. And that's because back then there were about just a little over 900 different PubMed studies. And you can look for them yourself, honestly. And I talked about them on many previous shows. That's what got me in a lot of hot water. And the reason is that when I started quoting science, like real science, that's been peer reviewed and published on PubMed, they didn't like that. If you're just talking about it, you know, here and there, no big deal. But when you start actually quoting the science and show that it works, well, you start to get into dangerous territory. Anyway, I'm back. I want to share this information with you. I think it's that important. Okay, so here's the thing, though. I'm going to go through right now the types of CBD, and then I'm going to go through how to use it in terms of an isolate, a full spectrum, or a broad spectrum. All right, so let's dive right into it. So I'm going to give you a nice little synopsis. Let me pull up my graphic here. I don't believe To my knowledge, I don't believe I can actually put these on my webpage. If I'm able to, it's going to be at stephencabral.com/1966. That's today's show notes page, stephencabral.com/1966. All right. So let's get into it though. And again, if I can put these up, I'll put them up for sure. But right now, CBD oil has been shown to, or may have, protective properties as an antioxidant, that it helps with sleep, that it helps, may help with seizures, may help improve appetite, may help as a muscle relaxant, may help with the nervous system, may help as what's called an antiemetic or medic, which is called something that helps relieve nausea. It may help with digestion. It may help with pain relief. And it may help with anxiety or panic-based issues, okay? So that's CBD. There's a lot there, right? But let's start to get into a few of the others. What about CBG? Well, CBD has been shown to be an antioxidant, antibacterial, may help as an anti-inflammatory, may help as a bone stimulant, may help as a digestive aid, may help with healthy levels of blood pressure, may help as a painkiller, may help as, potential antimicrobial as well. All right, well, what about CBC? CBC, antioxidant. I'm just going to put may help with as an antibacterial, as an antifungal, anti-inflammatory, bone stimulant, muscle relaxant, helps with the nervous system, helps with nausea, helps with pain. Okay, how about CBN? We're just going to go through a couple more. I'm kind of giving you the whole feel to beyond CBDs. It's being studied as isolates. I want you to remember that with all these different cannabinoids as well. All right, so pain relief for CBN, a potential anesthetic, potential antioxidant, potential anti-anxiety, potential anti-convulsion, potential anti-inflammatory, may help with sleep and with spasms and pain relief. Okay. Now, what about THC? So inside of this tetrahydrocannabinoid, well, what about that? Well, anti-inflammatory, antimicrobial, helps with appetite, helps relax the muscles, helps relax the nervous system, helps with nausea, helps with pain relief. It's a psychotropic, and it helps with spasms. So there we go. Let me give you two more. There's lots here, by the way. There's over 100, right? Let me just give you, how about CBL? You might not have heard of CBL before, which is cannabicolol, and that's an anticonvulsant, an antiemetic, which is, again, helps with nausea, anti-inflammatory. How about CBLA? Antioxidant, potential anti-tumor, potential anti-inflammatory. There are so many of these, all right? So that's a handful. Do you need to memorize any of those? Of course not, all right? That was not why I read through those. And again, that was a sample of the 100 plus, more being found out every single year. But the reason is that we know that inside of the cannabis-based plant, there are extracts that that may help with everything from cancer to anxiety to PTSD to seizures and epilepsy, and so much more. Again, pain relief, arthritis, etc. Again, I can't make any medical claims, nor am I making any medical claims. However, you can go to PubMed and you can essentially see the medical claims right there. That's not for me to say. That is for peer-reviewed scientific research, and you're welcome to look at that. Now, you might say right away, well, I want the one that helps with pain relief, or I want the one that helps with anxiety, or may help with cancer, or may help with whatever it might be. But I'm going to share with you, so I think that's a good way to look at it, and I get it, and I understand that. That's kind of our Western-based mindset. But let me take you through the three different forms, and then I'll let you decide for yourself at the end. I'll give you some of my recommendations as well. All right, so a CBD isolate. Now again, CBD is a catch-all term. CBD could be CBG. It could be CBC. Could be CBCA. So really what you're looking at is the isolate of the thing itself. Okay. So when I look at a CBD isolate, I say, fine, okay, great if it's CBC, but maybe I want more of the antifungal or the muscle relaxant. Okay, then I want CBG, right? So in the future, maybe not yet, but in the future, and this is unfortunate, I think pharmaceuticals are going to get in this range. the FDA and Big Pharma do not like a lot of isolates because then they look at it as treating medical-based diseases. So I think this will be outlawed in the future, but if you're able to, you might be able to get isolates right now, which again, I'm not the biggest fan of. I'll give you a reason why in a moment. But an isolate is nothing except that pure version of whether it's CBG, CBD, etc. It contains no THC, so it is okay. Like I shouldn't say it is okay. You have to decide for yourself. But there's no THC. So if you're drug tested for your particular type of work, it shouldn't show up as THC. A little harder to get right now for the different isolates, the different versions. CBD isolate is very easy to get, but it's also because it isn't as, let's say, there's not as many medical conditions that you would just go right for that one. Okay, so that's the best way to put it. Like you wouldn't say, okay, I'm going to use that for this, that, and the other thing, because you'd actually want to get more of a full spectrum that I'll be talking about in just a second. All right, so that's an isolate. You're going for that one specific thing. There's no THC, and you're using it for a very specific purpose. Okay, so then there's broad spectrum. Broad spectrum is essentially everything. So you get all the 400 different plant compounds like the terpenes and the flavonols, but you don't get the THC. So what they've done is they've isolated out the THC. And what I didn't share with you is just like CBD, THC has many different forms. THC, THCA, THCV, THCVA, alpha 8 THC, alpha 9 THC. So there's different versions of it. I just want you to know that you're only ever going to get when you get the full THC in there. Okay. So I'm not as much of a fan of broad spectrum unless you're looking to get more of the benefits and you don't want the THC because of drug testing. So it's a little bit better than isolates, in my opinion. Isolates, again, it can be used for medical-based conditions if you choose to. That's your choice. And broad spectrum is better. There's no doubt about it because you're getting more of the plant essence itself. But then the final stage, the most pure form, not pure as in the pharmaceutical form, but the most pure, closest to nature, is a full spectrum cannabinoid, okay? Or a full spectrum CBD. Why? It contains everything that I spoke about in the beginning. So it contains everything that's in the actual cannabis plant itself. It has a lower level of THC. So it has to meet federal guidelines, which right now is 0.3, okay? So 0.03, I believe. But there's still some THC. So if you're drug tested for work, you really don't want to use full spectrum CBD oil or soft gels or gummies, etc. And the reason is there's a little bit of THC. Now, a full spectrum, though, will give you the benefit of all of the different isolates, all of the terpenes, all of the flavonols. You get some of the chlorophyll in there. You get those antioxidants. You get all the benefits. So if you haven't already assumed this, I'm a much bigger fan of full spectrum CBD, much bigger fan. And how would I use it? Well, I would use full spectrum, always full spectrum CBD oil or full spectrum soft gels. And what I would do, and again, I can't give you guidelines for dosing, except that most adults need about 40 to 50 milligrams for a clinical dosage. I mean, again, this is not medical advice. They've done studies with 600 milligrams for children, for certain conditions. So you can't really overdose on it. Well, you can't overdose on natural organic. You can't. Synthetic, certainly. You want organic CBD. This is very important. It should be grown in the US or grown in Europe only, and ideally organic. And the reason is you don't want the pesticides on that you're consuming. Okay, and then you can't overdose. Like that's not possible, but also don't try, right? Start low, start at, again, 25 to 50 milligrams. A lot of people have tried CBD before and they got no benefit. And the reason is that most companies offer 10 milligrams, or it's an isolate, and you're just not going to feel as much of the benefit. So this is what I would do. And it's what I do. I've been taking full spectrum CBD oil for quite some time. So I recommend full spectrum CBD. And then if I had a medical health-based condition, I would do an isolate along with the full spectrum. And the reason why I believe that is that a plant, like an herb, this is an herb, right? This is a plant. They always work better as the whole themselves. However, you can add on extracts, which would be the isolate, in order to increase the effectiveness. However, when you start to go high dosage on just an isolate, you're using it as more of a medicine than you are as an actual herb from nature. So I'm not against that, but I just want to make sure that you're doing that with care, unlike the full spectrum where, again, it includes the whole plant. It's a lot safer in my opinion. So that's exactly how I would take it, how I would use it, how I do use it myself. I use 50 milligrams. So when do I use 50 milligrams? Whenever I feel my nervous system ramped up, whenever I'm feeling more stress, that's a bigger one. Or let's say it's the weekend, a lot of people are drinking alcohol. I decide that I don't want to drink alcohol. I can just use CBD instead, and I'm just kind of like calming my nervous system, and it relaxes you to a far greater degree. It can be helpful again if you're dealing with you're trying to improve your healthy levels of inflammation, trying to relax your muscles and your nervous system. It's a great way to use it. Again, I gave you many different benefits. I have parents that use it for arthritis. And so you can use it how you want. You can use it as a topical roll-on. Most of those are broad spectrum to be legal. They're typically broad spectrum. Those are great. You can use that as a roll-on. You can use it as a gummy. You just want to be careful that there's no artificial dyes or colors in there. Artificial flavors, of course. And mostly taken by a liquid that you put under your tongue. You just hold for 2 or 3 minutes and then swallow, or a soft gel. The difference is the liquid starts to work within 20 minutes. The soft gel just has to be digested, processed. It kicks in about an hour to an hour and a half, but you still get great benefits. So however you want to use it, those are great ways to use them. And that's it. I'm happy to answer any questions for you. Of course, feel free to leave them in the comments. Hopefully this was helpful. The CBD that I actually offer is at equilibriumcbd.com. That is equilibriumcbd.com. We are now not allowed to offer it on Equilife, eco.life. So it is on equilibriumcbd.com. And again, feel free to even just look at what we offer. You don't have to get it there, but you can see exactly what the highest quality looks like because we just don't cut any corners. So it's literally organic. It's grown on small farms in the United States, no pesticides, third-party tested, everything of course that you would want. So if it goes in my body or my family's body, of course, we want to make sure it's only the highest quality. And of course, I want the same for you. Hopefully this was helpful. Again, let me know if there's any questions. I'm always happy to answer them. Take care. Have an amazing day. And as always, please do feel free to share this information with anyone else you believe it could serve. Thank you so much for tuning into today's Cabral Concept. Appreciate you. I truly do. And I want to make sure that you know all about our brand new hormone labs that have debuted this week. They are typically $129, which is a very low cost for an at-home lab that also includes a 30-minute consultation with your Equilife health coach and a plan tailored to you. It's an absolutely amazing deal based on that hormone lab. We have the female hormones lab, which looks at progesterone and estrogen, and we have the male hormone lab, which looks at DHEA and testosterone. But instead of paying the $129, which you can, and it's a great deal, we are giving away 500 completely free this week. That means on all qualifying orders over at eco.life, you can get yours completely free. $250 for the female, $250 for the male while supplies last. Check out the qualifying order details over at equi.life for all the details. Take care, and of course, let us know if there are any questions. Enjoy.